Yo, what's going on, guys? In today's video I want to talk about the strategy that I have been using pretty much since the beginning of the season to farm currency, and this strategy is farming God of Machines. And in case you don't know what God of Machines is, it's basically an encounter that you find from time to time in maps, and when you find it you're gonna see a beacon that you're gonna have to defend from waves of monsters. And you can activate beacon up to 3 times. Each time it's gonna spawn more monsters, but it's also gonna give you more loot. And so far I've been able to farm somewhere between 3 to 5,000 elementium, and as you can see here in the background, you can expect some pretty crazy loot explosions. But be warned, this strategy is pretty RNG, not always you're gonna see this type of loot, and also some of these maps require pretty high investment, some of them even more than 10 elementium per map. Because of that, I am not really gonna provide you any numbers like how much you can make per hour and so on, because let me tell you, sometimes I would farm this for like 2 hours and I wouldn't get any loot. In fact, I would even sometimes lose currency, but then for the next few hours I would make a ton of currency. So like I said, it is pretty RNG, and later on I'm also gonna show you some screenshots of bad loot. But for now, let's look at some of the other loot explosions and what type of rewards you can expect from them. So here you can see the first screenshot, and here we got the commodities reward, which is basically flame fuel and the embers. All of the embers have been picked up by the auto loot, so you can see quite a lot of elementium and also some fossils. And now this is the also commodities reward, but this time I also got the dark suit. So I wanted to show you that even though most of our profit is gonna come from the God of Machines, because we are gonna invest a lot of compasses and we're gonna do this in tier 8, sometimes you're just gonna get lucky and you're gonna also get another mechanics like Dark Surge, like God of Might and so on. So because of that, we are also gonna get loot from these other things. So here I got from God of Machines, I got the commodities, so most of this flame fuel came from this, but also I got some compasses from the Dark Surge. And if I didn't use the compasses for like increased quantity, I would get less of these compasses from the Dark Surge. Okay, now this is the second type of reward, so this is the memory fragments, and quite a lot of these are actually worth a lot. For example, Mode's Trick, I believe 4 of them you exchange for 1 elementium, so every 4 of them is 1 elementium, and Lost Secrets and Windfall, a lot of other ones are also worth quite a lot of money, and sometimes you're gonna get some of the rare ones which you can sell for like 10, maybe 20, maybe even more elementium. So this is the second type of reward, but fragments actually appear quite rarely, but they are definitely not as rare as the compasses, and this is what happens when you get compasses rewards. So like I said, this is probably the rarest type of reward, but once you get it and you invest a lot into your map, you can expect to get between 100 to even 150 compasses just from one God of Machine encounter. So they are very good rewards, and so far I'm pretty much sustaining all of my compasses. I'm dropping even way more than I am using. The only ones that I have to buy are the ones that I'm using for guaranteed God of Machines and additional monsters spawning from God of Machines, because I'm using them quite often and they are quite rare to drop. Here you can see again the commodities reward, but this time I turned off my loot filter, so you can see how much other stuff I'm getting, like flame sand and embers and so on. And here is when I got the wealthy boxer, which is the card that I'm gonna talk about later. But when this happens, you get the most amount of rewards, and here you can see I got quite a lot of commodities, but on top of that some items. And here you can see in the top left I got the Secret Shadows shoes, which is a special base type, and God of Machines can actually drop some special base types that you can sell for 20, even 200 elementium, some of them. So if you're gonna see an item with this blue field border, so one like this, definitely pick it up, check the price. If you see any other items like these in here, they are probably not worth anything. Only check when you find one that looks like this. Now let's start looking at what happens when you don't get lucky. So here is when I got the commodities reward, but I actually didn't really get that much elementium. Even though here you can see 3 elementium, maybe I invested into this map like 5, maybe 10, so in fact maybe I lost money. Obviously you get some other stuff, not only flame elementium, but still 3 is definitely not that much considering how much I'm investing. And again, a little bit later I'm gonna talk about what exactly I'm investing into this map and how to not invest as much. Now this time I got the last type of reward, which is definitely the worst one, and this one is just regular items and sometimes some legendary items. And here you can see I actually got one legendary item, but it's actually not even worth anything. I ended up just throwing it away. So yeah, not always you're gonna get lucky. Maybe I invested into this map like 10 elementium, so I just lost 10 and didn't really get anything. But like I said, it's gonna happen from time to time, but sometimes you're gonna get 20, maybe 30 elementium, so you're gonna get paid back from the other maps. And this is another one when I didn't really get anything. This was again commodities rewards, and I only got few embers, and that's basically it. And yeah, like you see here, not always you're gonna get some insane rewards, but in the long run, if you're gonna do this for a long time, on average you should still make profit. Oh, now let's move on to the strategy itself, starting with the trade cards deck. And in case you don't know what these cards are, I'm gonna link in the description the max roll guide that you can check out if you want to learn more about them. So for the cards, this is my deck, and 4 most important cards are these 4 over here. And 3 of them are gonna help you with God of Machines, and 1 of them is gonna increase the amount of flame fury you're gonna get. So let's talk about them one by one. So first one is the Tolerant, which is gonna make God of Machines spawn additional monsters in a form of swarm of drones. And these drones are always white monsters, and they're just gonna spawn on timers. And on top of that, it's gonna increase the chance to encounter God of Machine by 10%. So more monsters is just more rewards. Second one is just gonna straight up give you more rewards, but by just giving up to 18% depending on the rank of the cards, so up to 18% additional monsters, additional rewards from the monsters. And also it is giving 10% chance to encounter God of Machines. But 20% obviously is not that much. We want to encounter God of Machines as often as possible, especially if you're gonna invest into some compasses for like additional loot and so on. You don't want to waste it on a map when there is no God of Machines. And with that, it's gonna help you with the Gentle, which is gonna give you 85% chance for the God of Machines to appear in your map. And if you add up all of the chance to encounter God of Machines, you are pretty much gonna have 100% chance. Even with just one additional card, it's 95%, which is pretty much guaranteed, especially because there's also a base chance to encounter God of Machine just with 2 of these cards, so either Gentle and Sincere or Gentle and Tolerant. You're gonna pretty much always encounter God of Machines. But unfortunately, it is also gonna reduce the amount of drops you're gonna get in this map by 59%. But to be honest, it is not even that bad, especially considering there is the second way to guarantee the God of Machines in your map, and that way is through the compass, which is here. This stage has God of Machines, and if you look at the price of this compass, they go for around 7 elementium for 1 compass. So if you look at it this way, every time you have a God of Machines in your map without having to use a sextant, thanks to this card, you are basically gaining 7 elementium pretty much. And because this map has inheritance 3, which basically means you can encounter the God of Machines 4 times, because once when you get this card and then 3 times from the inheritance, you are basically gaining 28 elementium. Obviously, it comes with a reduced quantity, but still, in my opinion, it is definitely worth it to use this card. Fourth one is just Benevolent, which is gonna give you a chance to upgrade flame fuel. And if you've seen in one of the screenshots when I did turn off the filter, you saw that there was quite a lot of flame sand on the ground, and every single time you're gonna drop it, you're gonna have a chance that it's gonna be upgraded to Elementium. and each Elementium has a chance to be upgraded into multiple Elementium, so this is definitely a good card. All of the remaining ones are kind of up to you what you want to go for. I went for 2 cards to just give quantity, because they basically counter most of the downside from Gentle. The Sharp is gonna just give you a little bit more flame fuel, but to be honest, it's not gonna give you that much, but still, it can help you a little bit with the amount of flame fuel you're gonna drop. And the remaining 3 are based around dropping memories and normal monsters. So this one is gonna give you chance for normal monsters to drop one additional piece of normal gear, and as you can see here, drones are normal monsters, so you're gonna get normal gear from them, which I do believe can be the specific God of Machines bases, so this should help you with dropping them. On top of that, you can combine it with Sentimental, which is gonna give you 10% chance for pieces of normal gear to become limited Nether memory card, and they can be pretty expensive. So combining them together with the Tolerant, you're gonna get a lot of drones. They are gonna drop gear, and this gear is gonna be converted to memory cards, and thanks to Envious, these memory cards are also gonna give additional other memory cards. But to be honest, I tested it quite a lot, and so far I didn't really notice that many card drops from this. It actually has been good when I used these 3 cards in combination with some compasses that just give additional white monsters in a map, and also compasses that multiply the amount of memory fragments you're gonna drop in a map. I haven't really had that much success with the amount of cards you get from the drones, so I'm not even sure if it's worth it. So definitely I would suggest going for these 4. Second priority would be these 3, and then the remaining one that I have here. And what are the other choices that you can go for? The Embers can be pretty good. God of Machines doesn't spawn that many magic monsters, but it's still pretty good additional rewards, and also Tolerant is gonna overall increase the amount of embers you're gonna get if you get the commodities reward. You can go for the tag card, especially reserved can be good if you, for example, don't get any of the God of Machines card, or maybe you get just one of them. You can use it to have a chance for additional ones, but obviously you're gonna lose one of the invasion rotation maps, so by doing this card, so it's not gonna be that great, but still it can save you from time to time. Also, obviously you can remove any of the other 3 cards and just go for another trial mechanic, so either God of War, God of Might, or Goddess of Hunting if you want to. And the last one, which I actually also would highly suggest going for, is the Dark Surge, which basically means if you get this card but you don't get any God of Machines, you can just go for the Dark Surge strategy, which is also pretty good one. On top of that, there are some very good Chaos cards which are synergizing very well with this strategy. Most importantly, the Wealthy Boxer. So there is the legendary version, and there is also the rare one, which is just gonna give you one map with Wealthy Boxer, and there is second one, which is the legendary, that is gonna give you 2 maps with it. And this boxer has a lot of life. He's gonna spawn 3 times, so 1 per wave, and this is gonna drop a ton of loot. Not only the boxer itself is gonna drop a ton of loot, also it's gonna give a ton of additional rewards to the end of the encounter. So when you get that, make sure to invest as much into the map as possible. The other ones are obviously pretty good, ones that give you some additional fossils, additional flame fuel, and so on, quantity, just whatever you can get that gives you any good rewards, go for them, but definitely pay attention when you get the extremely obstinate, which gives you mechanical boxer. Okay, so now how do you exactly run this strategy? So how to invest, when to not invest, and so on. Because we don't want to spend that much currency in every single map, because this way is definitely not going to be worth it to do this strategy. You want to keep your investment to a minimum. So first thing, what I would highly suggest is starting your rotation, your Chaos Invasion rotation with Time Mark 7 when you are just setting up your maps. So here we actually got pretty lucky. I actually got all 3 of the cards. So I got Sincere, I got the Tolerant, and I got Gentle. And also I did get Benevolent. I didn't get the Boxer, but this is still pretty good. When you are in this situation, I always like to start with Sincere, because it has Inheritance 5, the other ones have only 3, and also the Benevolent has Inheritance 2. So I am always planning my route this way. I'm just starting with the highest inheritance. So here I would just start with Sincere. Then I would go either for Gentle or Tolerant. To be honest, I don't really like spending too much currency on guaranteeing the God of Machines from the compasses. So I would probably go for the Gentle as the second one. Then I would go for Tolerant. Then Benevolent. To be honest, you could also go for Benevolent before Tolerant. It doesn't matter too much. And then next one would be the other one. And as a last card, you can go either for Sharp or the Admiring. It doesn't matter too much. I probably would go for Admiring. So again, I would start with Sincere, then the Gentle, then Tolerant, Benevolent, and Admiring. Also, sometimes obviously you might not get all of them. Let's say you didn't get Sincere, then you would just start, for example, here with Admiring because it has Inheritance 5. Then you would go for Gentle, then Tolerant. Maybe you didn't get Benevolent, so you would just go for like a 2 or 3 remaining maps, just without any good cards. So not always you're gonna get the full combo. But definitely what you want to do is you want to start in Timemark 7. So with Sincere, I would just do Timemark 7 map. With Gentle, I would still do Timemark 7, but at this point I would start investing into compasses. So let's look at the compasses. First of all, I would always roll the base affixes up to maybe like starting with 60. Then I would go for compasses. So again, if this was map with Sincere and Gentle in Timemark 7, I would probably use just a blue compass for quantity, for the flame fuel, embers, and maybe like 1 for memory fragments, or maybe additional 1 for embers or something like that. Not too expensive, just something pretty cheap, but you can still get some decent rewards. Then on the third map, I would swap to Timemark 8. And at this point, I would go for, again, I would have Sincere from the Inheritance, Gentle, and now I also would have Tolerant. And at this point, I would roll for probably at least like 70% quantity. So this time I got 80. And I would, if I have at least 3 good cards, so it can be either these 3, it can be 2 of them and Benevolent, or maybe 2 of them and like Admiring or something like that. Just probably if I have at least 3 good cards, I would also go for the compass that gives additional monsters. So this one, 72% additional monsters. Because this compass can be also pretty expensive. Usually it goes for around 4 Elementium, sometimes more, sometimes less, it really depends. But at this point, in my opinion, it is worth investing into it. And because we are using such an expensive one, you can start using other expensive compasses, but I still wouldn't go like super ham because they can also be pretty expensive. At this point, I would probably go for 1 for flame fuel, 1 for quantity, and last one is, to be honest, up to you. If you don't want to invest that much, you can go for quantity here, maybe flame element here. You can go for fragments in case you get fragments or embers. It is totally up to you. Just what do you feel like going for? If you want more compasses, in case you get compasses rewards, you go for quantity. If you want, in case you get the flame fuel, you can go for flame fuel. If you get a memory, you can go in here. It really doesn't matter. One biggest tip I definitely am recommending is going for at least 1 quantity, because it doesn't matter which type of reward you're gonna get from the God of Machines. Quantity is always gonna increase the amount of loot you're gonna get. So at least 1 of them is gonna be pretty good, but they are also pretty expensive, so don't use too many of them. But definitely this one is good enough. And then again, with the flame fuel, you are just gambling if you're gonna get the commodities rewards or not. But remember, this is still increasing the amount of rewards you're gonna get just from monsters in the map. Maybe you're gonna get some additional trial, like a war or something, or maybe dark swords. So it's gonna help you with the other rewards. So yeah, at this point I would start using this type of combination. And then once you get maybe these 3 cards, maybe 4 of them, So when you are at the last map, when you are at admiring, so you would have active all of these cards. You would invest even bigger, so maybe go for a quantity like this. Again, this one for additional monsters, flame fuel, maybe this one, and this one, so something like that. Again, if you don't get commodities, you are probably gonna lose money. Maybe if you're gonna get compass or memory fragments, you are still gonna be even or make like a little bit. But if you're gonna get the items rewards, you're probably gonna lose money, but it's gonna happen from time to time. On average, you should still make money. But now what happens when you would get wealthy boxer? So if you get wealthy boxer, it is only gonna affect one map if you get this one. So what you want to make sure is you want to hit every single thing before you get the boxer. It is actually even worth it to skip the gentle, because it's gonna reduce the amount of loot you're gonna get. In this case, you would, let's say instead of this card, you would have boxer. So what I would do is I would probably go with sincere, tolerant, benevolent, admiring, and then I would go for boxer. And when I would use boxer, I would use the best quantity, the best flame fuel, and both of these to guarantee the God of Machines and increase the amount of monsters. This is very high investment, but with boxer, in my opinion, it is worth it. So I would highly suggest going for it. If you don't get the gentle, but you get the combination of the other three, so benevolent, sincere, and tolerant, I would also recommend going for the guaranteed God of Machines, but maybe you wouldn't invest that many into other ones. Maybe go for something like this and this without the boxer. So with this strategy, you're definitely going to have to think a lot. You're not gonna always do the same things. Sometimes you're gonna feel like gambling a bit more, sometimes a bit less. Sometimes you're gonna make more money, sometimes less. It is pretty RNG strategy, but I actually like that about it, because you are not just constantly doing the same thing. With more testing, you're gonna get more rewards, because you're gonna know more what to do in certain situations, what to expect, if this one is worth it, if this one is not worth it. But on average, you should still make pretty good profit. So that's gonna be it in this video. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.